Donald Trump has been running around and screaming waste, fraud, abuse at every single public appearance that he makes. And then he is using this slogan as a means to gut entire agencies, shut down federal spending, and even firing thousands of federal employees. But the only problem with this is they have not provided a shred of evidence that there is significant waste, fraud, and abuse that would justify their current actions. Not a shred of evidence at all. Instead, him and Elon Musk are just pointing at these line items in the budget that they don't like, and then they're crafting these huge stories around it to try to sell it to the American people. All under the guise of waste, fraud, abuse. And we are now learning that this same administration is spending nearly $250 million to run an ad campaign to tell illegal immigrants to not come. Yeah, you heard that right. They are spending nearly $250 million to run ads like this.
I'm Kristi Noem, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security. Thank you, President Donald J. Trump, for securing our border, for deporting criminal illegal immigrants, and for putting America first. President Trump has a clear message for those that are in our country illegally. Leave now. If you don't, we will find you, and we will deport you. You will never return. For too long, weak politicians left our borders wide open. They flooded our communities with drugs, human trafficking, and violent criminals. They put American lives at risk. Well, those days are over. If you leave now, you may have an opportunity to return and enjoy our freedom and live the American dream. But understand this. Under President Trump, America's borders are closed to lawbreakers. Follow the law, and you'll find opportunity. Break it, and you'll find consequences. The choice is yours. America welcomes those who respect our laws, because a strong nation is a safe nation.
$250 million. And you notice how this is basically just propaganda for the Trump administration. This doesn't look like something that is actually targeting undocumented immigrants. The ad isn't even in Spanish, for Christ's sakes, or any other languages. So let me get this straight. You have a Trump administration taking $200 to $250 million of taxpayer money, and you are spending it on Donald Trump's propaganda. Am I getting that right? Am I getting that right? This seems like a bit wasteful to me. This seems like an abuse of Donald Trump's power, using taxpayer money to fund his exercise in propaganda. I mean, did you hear the beginning of the ad? Thank you, Donald Trump, for closing the border again. Kristi Noem went and gave an interview about this ad. And you'll never be, I guess you won't be surprised that it was Donald Trump's idea that Kristi Noem should thank him in these ads. If you do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe.
After I was nominated to be the Department of Homeland Security Secretary, President Trump talked to me several times. We had several meetings during the transition talking about it. And he said to me one day, we had a meeting, I left his office, and then Natalie came chasing me down the hall, and she goes, the president wants to tell you something he forgot to visit with you about. So I came back into his office, and he said, Kristi, do you know those ads that you did in South Dakota?
Oh,
and
yes,
I said,
yes,
sir. You mean my Freedom Works Here ads? And he said, yeah, those ones where those beautiful ads.
Those
those beautiful ads.
Beautiful.
You did about South Dakota. They had Mount Rushmore, all those things. He said, I want you to do those for the border.
Brilliant.
And I said, well, sir, I don't know how that works. You mean the ones where I was a plumber and where I was an electrician? And I don't know if I can do those for the border. And he said, no, I want you to do those for the border. And I want you to do those everywhere, not just in the United States, but I want them around the world. I want you to tell people not to come to this country if they're going to come here illegally. And I said, well, sir, we can do press conferences. We can tell people what we're doing. And he said, nope, we're not going to let the media tell this story, because the media will never tell the truth. We're going to do a marketing campaign to make sure the American people know the truth of what you're doing. And I said, well, sir, do you want to be in those ads? And he said, nope, I want you to
He
do
said
them.
no?
He said, no, I don't. I want you in
Okay.
the ads. He said, I want you in the ads and I want your face in the ads. But he said, but I want the first ad, I want you to thank me. So I want you to thank me for closing the border. And I said, yes, sir, I will thank you for closing the border. So if you notice in that ad, we thanked him for closing the border. And
So in other words, we have an authoritarian regime who is crafting their own propaganda using taxpayer money. And it was the president's idea that he would be in these ads being thanked to make himself look big and strong, that he was the guy who was coming in and he was closing down the border, and that he is such a god for doing this. Am I getting this right? The American people should be pissed about this. Does this not seem wasteful to anybody else? $250 million to run a propaganda campaign for the wannabe authoritarian, using taxpayer money, no less. This is also an abuse of his role as president. It's an abuse of taxpayer money. Because, as you'll notice, these weren't given in any other language. Are these supposed to be actually effective? Are you actually telling me that these types of ads are supposed to deter immigration to this country? I mean, at the very least, you would expect them to be in Spanish, right? They're always fear-mongering about all of the people from Mexico who are coming over the border and yada, yada, yada. But they put out the international version of the ad. Check it out.
I'm Kristi Noem, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security. Thank you, President Donald J. Trump, for securing our border and putting America first. Let me deliver a message from President Trump to the world. If you are considering entering America illegally, don't even think about it. Let me be clear. If you come to our country and you break our laws, we will hunt you down. Criminals are not welcome in the United States. For too long, weak leadership has left our borders wide open, flooding our communities with drugs, human trafficking, and violent criminals. Well, those days are over. Under President Trump, we are defending American families and restoring their safety. If you try to enter illegally, you will be caught, you will be removed, and you will never return. Follow the law, and you'll find opportunity. If you break it, you'll find consequences. Strong borders mean a stronger America. President Trump is making America safe again.
Donald Trump is making America safe again. Really? Firing thousands of federal employees, making America safe again? Firing thousands or hundreds, whatever the number is, from the FAA, making planes fall out of the sky all of a sudden, near collisions on runways. Is that making America safe again? Releasing people who led a violent insurrection against the United States, giving them a full-on pardon. Is that making America safe again? Let's not get it twisted, folks. This is an ad or a set of ads that is directed at the MAGA base. This is to make Donald Trump look big, bad, and tough. This is trying to make him seem like he's actually doing something on the border, even though border crossings were down more than 50%. I forget the exact number, so don't quote me, but it was more than 50% border crossings were down before he even came into office. He has not done a thing on the border, but he wants to make himself look big, bad, and tough. He wants people to be scared of his mass deportations, so he's using $200+ million of taxpayer money to build up ads like this that he can show to the MAGA base, so they can have something to rally around, to salivate over. This is not an ad that is supposed to actually be effective at deterring immigration from this country. $200+ million to basically issue a strong statement. Do not come. You will be arrested. You will be deported. But do you guys remember when Kamala Harris was panned across the board by conservatives when she said this? Oops.
I want to be clear to folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border. Do not come. Do not come. The United States will continue to enforce our laws and secure our border. There are legal methods by which migration can and should occur. But we, as one of our priorities, will discourage illegal migration.
Yeah, conservatives lost their mind when Kamala Harris went out and said that. Because in their minds, it was just laughable that that would actually be a deterrent for undocumented immigration. You know, it's appropriate for an administration to go issue press conferences, kind of like the one that Kamala Harris just did there, back when she was vice president. But I find it completely appalling that you're taking hundreds of millions of taxpayer money and you are crafting up these ads that are just supposed to be red meat for your base. That is wasteful, and that is an abuse of your power, of the taxpayer money. And all this while you're going around screaming waste, fraud, and abuse so you can tear down our government from the inside out. It is absolutely laughable. Donald Trump is a master propagandist. That is what this is. Do not let him tell you, or do not believe anything else. Because if you think that these types of ads are supposed to be an actual deterrent, if they're actually supposed to be effective at making sure our undocumented immigration goes down, I don't know what to tell you. That is not what these ads are going to do. You got a white girl speaking in English to the MAGA base. That is what this is. And then you have the White House going out and even mocking immigrants as part of this larger exercise in propaganda and posting absolutely disgusting videos like this. The official White House account posted that video and said ASMR deporting illegal migrants or something like that, something along those lines. ASMR, they were trying to glom on to that ASMR trend by mocking immigrants. Yeah, these people are just disgusting. They are trying to craft a narrative for you. They're taking taxpayer funds to do it. They're spending hundreds of millions of dollars to run these foolish ads that are just red meat for the base. And then they accompany that with these types of videos coming from the White House itself because Donald Trump wants to appear like he is doing something on the border. He wants to appear like the big bad tough guy who is cracking down on immigration. Donald Trump only cares about perception. He is not an effective he is not effective at governing. So he spins up these stories like waste, fraud, and abuse. Spins up these conspiracies to sell to the American people because he knows he is an ineffective leader who's probably not going to get much done besides all of these authoritarian power grabs that he is currently doing in our country. So do not let him pull the wool over your eyes. And you should push back against your taxpayer money being spent on his propaganda. That is what this is. So I will leave it there for now. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We've got to build something here on the left that can adequately push back against this right-wing media ecosystem that just pushes all this stuff out. No pushback at all. So if you do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe. If you want to see how Enrique Tarrio is now trying to pick fights with Capitol Police now that Donald Trump has released him from prison, go ahead and watch that video on the screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.